We will be starting the next panel discussion, which is on dark stores, redefining logistics in e-commerce. For this panel discussion, may I invite upon the stage the moderator, founder and COO Upriver, Mr. Mohit Jain. Let's give him another round of applause. With more than 12 years of experience, he has advised companies on mergers and acquisitions and private equity transactions with a special focus on fashion and e-commerce. Our panelists for the sessions, the first one being Head of Products, B2C Health Cart, Mr. Amit Upadhyay. Let's give him a warm welcome. He's a computer science graduate from IIT Bombay, and with over 13 years of experience, he has walked miles from numbers and computing to now moving delivery boxes ever faster to the health cart customers. Our next panelist, ladies and gentlemen, is Mentor Shipyari, Mr. Tamil Rajan. Warm welcome, Mr. Rajan. He's a seasoned logistics consultant in India, specialized in express, e-commerce logistics, multi-model 3PL, and setting logistics processes for large-size startups, logistics technology scoping, and prototype to beta to alpha rollouts for multiple logistics projects. And our next panelist for this session, COO Indian Gifting Portal, Mr. Ankur Gupta. Warm welcome to Mr. Gupta. He's a graduate of the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, Chief Operating Officer at Joint Ventures, India's largest house of D2C brands for celebrations. And our next panelist, co-founder ClickPost, Mr. Naman Vijay. Let's give him a warm welcome. An entrepreneur since his college days, his journey at IIT Delhi had started. And after a stint at Barclays Bank, he co-founded ClickPost in 2017 with a mission to democratize commerce and empower the upcoming online retailers. And our final panelist for this session would be co-founder and COO Ek Anek Foxy, Mr. Sachin Singhal. Let's welcome him warmly. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Singhal. He has been in consumer internet for over a decade, a journey which started as growth head in core founding of Paytm, followed by stints at Ibibo, PayU, Wink, and Airtel. A warm welcome to all the panelists, and let's begin this session.
Thank you. I welcome all my co-panelists here. So when the team told me the topic is dark stores, the first thing that crossed my mind is it has a rather sinister and dystopian appeal to it. Thoda sa different word hai. So I'll straight away get to the experts to help us explain what is dark stores in the basic layman terms. I'll directly come to Tamil. Please audience ko samjhaiye ki dark stores hai kya ye cheez?
I don't know why do we call it dark store first. It's supposed to be a smart store or a super store or a future store. I mean, the word itself is something, I would say it has to be changed. In e-commerce or D2C business, the order to delivery is a race. It's all about the race, how fast you need to get your customer. You click the order, can I reach you as fast as I can? That is how every e-commerce company have set up their own logistics division, like Flipkart, eCart, Amazon, its own ATS, everyone. And there are a lot of companies who emerged. And then it moved on to the regional players, and then you are hyper-local. Now you have the super efficient ones. Now to reach faster, now how do I do? From the time I click the order, where do I keep the item? So earlier it used to be in a warehouses, then used to take 24 to 48 hours, then the warehouses were shifted to the regions instead of from a single point. Then it is coming as closer to the customer based on the pin code mapping, the product usage, etc. And that is how the dark store concept emerged, that from the time the order is clicked, how fast it has to be delivered to the customer. And that's the magic. And that is transforming the whole thing. It is also changing the habit of people.
So we have three panelists here who operate their own dark stores in different capacities, in different formats. So I'll straight away come to Amit to help us understand how is HealthCart leveraging dark stores और उनका क्या आइडिया है डार्क स्टोर्स चलाने के लिए, और व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग जब डार्क स्टोर्स के बारे में सोचते हैं, व्हाट आर दे ट्राइंग टू अचीव?
So, thank you first of all having me as a part of the panel. For HealthCart, we are, in terms of warehousing as a category, if I have to think of, we have a distinct offline arm of the business. Then we have the conventional warehouses. We have fulfillment centers, some of them regional, some, depending on the catchment area that they are catering to. And dark stores for us has been a very recent, experiment. Just to tell you a few sort of success metrics, we've been very slow, and we are very hard pressed on the sustainability of our dark store strategy. And to that credit, basically, we have not closed any dark store till date. That's how we are growing. I'll happy to delve in more details.
So Amit, अभी कितने डार्क स्टोर्स हैं and how many cities do you cover?
So as of now, there are 18 or 20, depending on how we are counting. The way we have positioned them is not really sort of, for us, dark stores is not really venturing out into unserviced areas. What we are doing is that gradually we are sort of offloading the conventional warehouses and shifting the high demand sort of, clusters to these dark stores.
I'm coming to Ankur. अंकुर, आपका डार्क स्टोर से क्या एक्सपीरियंस है, एंड व्हाट आर यू ट्राइंग टू अचीव थ्रू देम?
Okay, so we are into celebration industry, and one of the biggest use cases is gifting. And one of the biggest category happens to be flowers and cakes, which traditionally used to happen from florists and bakers. This category existed because when people used to wake up last minute that what they want to gift on any occasion to their friends or families, it was only flowers and cakes which was there. Our idea was same, that we wanted to improve the quality of the product and the service. So we started with dark store concept. We also wanted to increase the categories that could be delivered to a customer when it comes to gifting. Why should it be only flowers and cakes? If there are other gifts which sell more on our websites, it is better to have those as well and get them delivered as soon as possible.
Sachin, what has been your experience with dark stores?
Yeah, hi everyone. So we have taken a very different approach towards dark store. Just to introduce ourselves, our app is called Foxy. We are focusing on beauty vertical, and we are a marketplace. What we have done is that we have opened a lit store, which is a consumer store, but integrated that on a common dark store platform. So we basically use same inventory which is available for consumer who can go and buy on the in the store, as well as same inventory is available for our online store to be supplied locally to all the local pin codes, which is up to 5 to 10 kilometers from the store. So what it's helping is that same inventory can be used in multiple ways, and is also the overall unit economics for the franchisee who is running that store becomes a lot more profitable, because not only is that franchisee getting orders from that footfall, but also is getting online presence in terms of ability to sell to the customers who are ordering online from that market. So in a way, a different approach, and one of the big things that we need to be careful about this is that these are not two inventories, because otherwise inventory holding and everything becomes a big challenge. On a unified inventory, it simplifies a lot of things.
Naman, what has been your experience and how you are enabling all this logistics thing, and how do click post fit in all these stories?
Thanks, Mohit. I think when I first got to know about this panel, the topic, why it really excited me was that I think we've seen the journey of dark stores as a concept kind of evolving in front of our eyes. We launched ClickPost in 2017, and when we launched it, so we are the logistics intelligence and post-purchase experience platform. We were integrating different logistics partners back in 2017. There was no talk about hyper-local delivery, stores, fulfillment, dark stores. No one used to talk about it. Everyone used to have a single warehouse, 2-3 warehouses, and it was centralized fulfillment, right? You fast forward to 2019, and we are working with Healthcart was a customer, Nykaa, 1MG, all these guys were customers. And there was a lot of talk in town regarding hyperlocal deliveries. And there was a lot of funding happening in this space. But when our VCs used to ask us that, hey, Naman, what are you doing for this hyperlocal delivery? This will change like how logistics work. And we were like, no, boss, nothing. We don't see any demand from brands. We don't see anyone going hands down like that hyperlocal delivery is what I want to do, other than groceries, right? So we were like, we don't want to build for this space. You move to 2020, we added brands like ABF Saral, Puma, IGP added us. And then we realized that there's a lot of store fulfillment that has suddenly started happening in the space. And it added a lot of complexity to the product because like there's a module of ours which helps you find out the best logistics partner for any particular shipment based on cost, RTO rates, past experience, and so on. And suddenly there's a lot of variability in it because the number of pickup points have increased a lot. The number of lanes combinations have increased a lot. And suddenly like that module, honestly, used to be one of the least subscribed modules, and suddenly now it is one of our fastest growing modules because the number of pickup points have increased. Everyone wants to fulfill by stores, and we have seen customers like Carrot Lane, Healthcart, IGP, and so on, like be so successful with this stitched customer experience that they are now able to deliver. On-time delivery has increased, shipping NPS has increased. So it's like a consumer success story, right? And now, you see that all of the D2C brands, and Sachin, as he spoke about that, now they are launching dark stores. They are launching physical fulfillment points. So we know that now e-commerce or online retail as an industry, if you want to go big, you will end up having physical touch points. And when you're having physical touch points, when you have retail stores, you will use them for fulfillment as well. So it's a whole different ballgame. I think now I've kind of gone from being a non-believer to a huge believer in this space. We see so many complexities, so many new logistics partners coming in now. So the ecosystem is there. Now consumers want hyperlocal deliveries. They're ready to pay more for on-time deliveries in 30 minutes or same-day deliveries. The service providers are there. Software solutions like us are there. So that whole nexus is kind of there to kind of like take deliveries to the next scale and make it more mainstream.
So, Naman, that brings me to the next point, and Tamil, help me here. Why is Healthcart, IGP, Foxy building their own dark stores and not relying on a aggregator or a partner who has his own warehouses and he can be a dark store or have 10 vendors in their store? What do you think they are doing out on their own?
Probably it is just in the emerging stage, I would say. This would happen apparently. Sometimes what happened, the hyper-local went ahead of this infrastructure creation, so people have to create. Earlier it was, this was a challenge for e-commerce companies about 10 years back, that you want to start up, you got to set up a warehouse, all of those. Now it is not required, that you want to take a cubic foot space, smaller space which is available based on the rack space it is available. That's a kind of a change. Whereas the same thing can happen in the dark store segment as well. We would find a lot of, in fact, Shipyard is into this particular project very, very seriously. So we would create lots and lots of stores as closer to the customer and the density of the point, so that it is not a challenge for companies to operate. And another is the inventory part. Inventory we will see a lot of artificial intelligence, pin code wise, area wise. What are the SKUs which run? That will give you a kind of an idea that you do not run out of inventory, not more than 10-15% than what you are currently investing. So there would be definitely a lot more service providers who would come into this particular space. We can look for it.
Great. That brings me to another point of financial viability. So Amit, help us understand, what is your first priority? Is it customer experience you want to acquire customer and want to give him the fastest delivery, or is it also financially viable?
Sure, I think financial viability is something that cannot be compromised. But I think, yeah, the origins of the very, existence of trying to deliver, by the way, for us, it's like a single day delivery. It may vary depending on, who you are, what you sell. The very origin of even letting people, expect a single day delivery is from the, customer's expectations and his or her willingness to pay for anything extra, if the order value, demands so. So it's one, I'm a products guy, so basically, keep the user experience at the center. Think of the last mile delivery guys. Then you think of the, operations and all the, other sort of operational efficiencies, right? All the way back to inventory and where you manufacture or sourcing your material from, right? So if I think of these 4 or 5 elements as concentric center, circles, while the aspiration or you're yearning to get something in as short period of time as possible originate from the center, the commitment that we honor, the commitment that we make to our customers of, delivering in a day, in 24 hours or less, and the slight promise from their side of, being, paying a little higher fee, and not sort of making available all our SKU base for that single day delivery, right? That's where it originates from, and it's, as you sort of move away, think of the delivery guys. Of course, when you're opening a dark store, you're relying on, motorists, basically, riders. Every order, per order delivery cost definitely is much more compared to a conventional warehouse. If I start thinking of the, dark stores, operations, right? They're the kind of frequencies at which you have to supply inventory. I'm just thinking of the inward processes, right? The frequency at which you supply the in-store planogramming, etc., and then you sort of train your manpower to just do the inside dark store picking, packing, dispatching, right? All that adds to your cost, right? Of course, there are some places where shipping from a dark store would actually let you save costs. For example, you wouldn't have to pack stuff in the corrugated boxes, for example. That will save you a lot of space. The speed with which you can pack stuff. Other things would be, you won't have to, paste the invoice. You can rather sort of insert that in the, zipper bag, etc., right? And the final dispatch time basically reduces, right? So there are both pluses and minuses of, one, starting from the customers expecting it, the delivery guys to the dark store operations, all the way, up to the inventory, the way it is expected, sort of forecasted by the dark stores, and it is, the frequency at which it is shipped. So for us, it's still an evolving story, and I'm not sure, the current sort of metrics that we, are concerned about will be, if I'm, say, offering 30% of my SKU base through dark stores. For that, I would look at SKU level profitability. I aggregate that to an order level profitability, that again to a customer level profitability. If I aggregate that further, that becomes my store level profitability. So that's the kind of metrics that we look at, still emerging somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think the way we are looking at the viability or commercial viability for dark stores is from 2 angles. One is from a cost perspective. The operational cost of dark store, when we did our maths, we didn't find it meaningful if it's a dark store in itself. And thus the whole approach has been, is it an incremental small job on a core lit store or core customer store? So from that perspective, the operational cost started to look very, very minuscule and not something to be worried about. The second thing is, from a cost perspective, is the inventory that gets stuck and the amount of inventory that you need to hold and the cost of that inventory, which is where if you have a single consolidated inventory which is also available to all other channels, then this inventory suddenly is not really stuck and can move across, and thus that becomes, that's something that can be manageable. And from a other perspective of viability is, what are the benefits coming out of it? Our early experiment shows that there is a decent improvement in CAC when you are promising 4-hour delivery or a 1-day delivery or a same-day delivery. That's definitely, improves customer confidence that, oh, this brand is new but will deliver. If they're promising 1 day, at least 2 days mein to saman aa hi jayega. But obviously, when you do that 1-day delivery and then create delight, the retention also goes up, which is where the whole unit economics is not only from a cost perspective, but also how it is helping you in marketing and retention.
Great. So very interesting concept आपने blend किया है अपना front end store and dark stores को. I'll come to अंकुर here. अंकुर आप 50-60 stores चला रहे dark stores. Have you not thought about कि एक front end store भी हो and same would double up as a dark store? And what are the challenges you have faced in operating for whatever time you are doing it? क्या problem क्या आई है अभी तक?
See, the problem that we were trying to solve earlier was to give the best customer service, best product and delivery experience to the customer. As I said earlier, being into gifting, the margin of error is very small. Now groceries, they are happening via dark stores because they want to have better control on the product that they have and the timeliness of the delivery. For us, it is even more important to control that. Correct. So that was the idea to start the dark stores and operate them on our own. The question that you were asking earlier, Mohit, why how, should we outsource or should we do it in-house? There are some expertise that we have, and we don't see it outside as of now. If it happens later, then maybe it would be an option. But we saw that the expertise that is required for us to have control over flour sourcing to cake, baking cake and all those things, we wanted to have our own dark stores. Now when it comes to front-end store, obviously it is on the cards. People do want to, see, feel, experience the product. They want, there are so many experiential stores, likes of First Cry, Decathlon, Lenskart, they have done tremendous job with, having offline stores and going omni-channel and building, the whole customer base. So it is on the cards, but for us, the prime focus right now is it's customer-centric, provide best product to the customer.
Great. So I'm hearing different priorities for everyone to operate a dark store. And Naman, since you're talking to a lot of clients of yours, how is the KRA of a logistics person who is handling or responsible for this changing from an entire warehousing model to now a dark store or a hybrid model? What are they chasing? What are they talking to you about?
Very interesting question, actually, and one that has been like a cause of a lot of debate internally at ClickPost as well. And I'll give you the reason why. Because so one of the aims for us at ClickPost is how do we build the best software product for e-commerce companies in the world out of India, right? And you build a great product if you make your customer, the head of supply chain, successful. The framework we use to think about it is the jobs to be done framework, that how do you, like what are the things that our customer needs to do, which is the head of supply chain on a daily basis, how can we help them do it better? Now, when it comes to supply chain, the pillars are the same, right? Those pillars will not change. Speed, cost, and reliability. Those are the pillars upon which any supply chain stands. They were the same 30 years back. They will be the same 30 years from now, right? But it changes with every single change that you make in your supply chain. Now, when you introduce dark stores to it, if we break that first pillar into like speed, into traditionally, order to dispatch time and dispatch to delivery time in e-commerce. 3 years back, our customers would just say that, hey, give me a dashboard where I can see my ship to delivery time on a real-time basis, and I can see how my vendors are performing, and we gave them that, right? Now, when complexities increase with more hyperlocal logistics partners, with more pickup points, now how can you improve that part? So the number of pickup failures we see have increased a lot when you introduce more pickup points. You would not have on-time dispatch just because there was a failure in pickup. So we had to introduce a new module, which is pickup management module, that helped you like dispatch on time with all of your logistics partners across all the different locations. And the success came with like one of the large jewelry retailers that is a ClickPost customer. Their on-time dispatch increased from 85% to 93%, right? So that dispatch time improved, the delivery time will of course improve. Now the importance of that delivery time, which previously used to be like, okay, the logistics partner will deliver, it's out of my hands. But as Amit mentioned, the on-time delivery will have an impact on the user experience. And as Sachin mentioned, it will have an impact on your CAC, right? So what delivery date you're promising. So suddenly we see a lot of demand for our estimated delivery date module, where we help you commit the right delivery date to your end consumer, which was something that people used to expect out of Amazon. Now they expect it out of every brand that they have, right? So these new modules need to be built in because the job changed for the head of supply chain, right? When we move from speed to cost, now suddenly there are a lot more logistics partners, there are a lot more PNC combinations, and there's actually an opportunity for the head of supply chain to convert supply chain from a cost center to a profit center. There's an opportunity for you to monetize your delivery. We've all been speaking about that why in US people are ready to pay for delivery and they charge like $2, $5 for faster delivery. Indian consumer, it has been something that all the e-commerce companies have spoken about that, hey, Indian consumers will not pay for delivery. But now people pay for delivery. We have all ordered from Swiggy. They will give you 2 different slots, big basket. So the consumer experience is changing. So there's an opportunity for you to stitch the number of delivery options that you provide with monetization capacity that, how can you get more money out of the consumer for the same order, and that improves the entire P&L, right? Going on to reliability. Now, reliability used to be about RTO rates. And like one of the biggest products that we launched in the last year was an NDR journeys product that helps you reduce your RTO rate by basically building a consumer flow using intelligence that what method the customer will give you feedback on and help you reduce RTO rates. But suddenly that has changed. That is not just RTO rate. Now it is about, can you offer the best returns experience? If the first delivery attempt goes unsuccessful, what kind of like experience the consumer gets after that, right? If the order has been delivered, do you have one-touch returns on your website, right? So all of those things have come in, and suddenly there's a lot more demand from the head of supply chain that, there's a lot more focus on this entire function, I would say, globally as well. And yeah, like that's how the job has changed. It has become more important, and like the demands of consumers have increased as well.
Great. So I see everyone is right now in the experimentation mode. कोई categories के साथ experiment कर रहा है, and somebody is experimenting with models. I want all my co-panelists to give their just final thoughts based on their experience. What does the future look like? क्या dark store आने वाले हैं? अभी experimentation mode ही चल रहा है, और are you certain कि that is the way to go and more dark stores will emerge? I'll request Amit to start with, and maybe others can then pitch in.
Sure, I think if the early evidence for us, if it's indicative of anything, for us, it's going to be very challenging journey. Both like one, the customer demand is going to increase. What we have to ensure is the sustainability of our overall dark store strategy. The way I tend to think of this, in general, is that first you got to be deciding about whether you even have a use case for, quick commerce. That's the first step. The next is that you got to decide how much percentage of SKUs, depending on, again, tying to that financial viability, 20%, 10%, 30% of your overall SKU base that you are offering through the dark stores. And this is going to be a constant sort of evolution. You kind of might want to, based on some initial data, you might want to take a bet, okay, these are my top 10, selling SKUs, and I want to start with these. But then as you collect more data, you're going to, revise that list of SKUs. Mostly on the user experience side, because it's a subset of SKUs that you're going to fulfill quickly compared to the rest of the SKUs that you're offering. It's a very sort of subtle design job that becomes, for the front-end guys, in terms of showing them distinctly from the other products, right? And staying at the front end itself, it's like after you place the order till the time you receive it, it's a very emotionally charged environment. It's a very tough job for the product guys, design guys, to sort of hold the emotional, sort of navigate the emotional curve till the time the product gets delivered. And everything else, behind that, of course, must support it.
Yeah, very true. And rightly said, this habit will not reverse once people are used to the convenience of the time. the dark store will continue, it will grow bigger. And that's one of the reasons where Shipyard is focused. You will see us coming up with lot and lot more stores, which is going to support DTCs in a very, very big scale. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. As in, our first dark store was opened in 2017, so we do have ample amount of data with us. We have seen repeat rates increasing multifolds. You know, the NPS getting much better wherever we have opened the dark stores. So dark story is going to stay. Right now, groceries are there. You know, other items are there which are available in 10 minutes. I think very soon people would want their apparels and their TV, fridge, etc. in 10-15 minutes. I don't know. It would happen soon. So it's gonna stay.
So I think we at ClickPost are a believer. And when Ankur has come to the table with the stats for past 5-6 years, there's nothing else that I can really add to it. What I would just say is that, see, consumer expectations will always and always increase. If the ecosystem is ready to deliver upon it, then brand operators, depending on the P&L, will decide whether it's like a 100% model or whether you do it for like 20-25%, whether you're doing it in the top 4 metros or like maybe some new areas that you want to try out for some new products that you're trying out. But I think the stats have spoken, and like it is definitely going to be one of the major modes of delivery going forward.
I would say I believe in it, and would add more context to it. US is talking about drone deliveries. I think India would have its own set of challenges and does innovations around it. We innovated COD 10 years back. We innovated UPI 4 years back, and which has scaled. And in hyperlocal delivery, it's not the drone that will succeed here. It will be some kind of local innovations, and dark store is a step in that direction, which I think would make unit economics sense and would scale up.
Great. I think with these thoughts, I am opening the floor for any questions, if anybody has. Yes.
Who wants a mic? Can you please raise your hand?
Hello, yeah. I am Mr. Shubhajit. Hello, Shubhajit Datta, Special Constitutional Functionary from Union of India. I was listening to your discussion, which is very much interesting. And from taking cue from Mr. Sachin Singhal and Naman Vijay, I am optimistic that in India the situation is changing. My question is, how government is facilitating to improve the environment of these new ideas like dark store or corporate gifting, and how further they can improve the situation in India? That I want to know, the government's perspectives.
So sir, इनका question है कि what do you find government support is adequate?
I think one big step that is GST, right? GST has normalized the process. So earlier, running such lot of these small businesses was a lot more complicated. So GST in a way has helped that, you know, we can do one technology which will work across the country. So I think that is one big step. And yes, overall, I think there is big support for the consumer internet technologies and e-commerce. So I think all that support is there, which is the right support that's needed.
And what about awareness among people? Means how can they increase the awareness?
Actually, there's another project called ONDC, which is like UPI that government has rolled out, but I think it's in early stages. ONDC would have its own, would bring its own kind of awareness. So I think watch out for ONDC is all I would say there.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? इनके बाद भी if anyone has any question, if he can come forward, please, so that we can save some time.
Yeah, hi. My name is Pranshu. I'm from Panipat. That is the textile industry. If you have, so basically, we deal in products wherein the customers prioritizes in touch and feel of the product first, and then they would buy the product, basically curtains, bed sheets, and all. So dark store is one of the things that's been going in my mind from the past 3-4 years, and I've been thinking about opening retail stores. I have a factory in Jammu as well, and I have 2 stores over there. So my question is, when we talk about dark stores, what's the right approach for opening that process? And to simplify it, you have to create a brand first, and then you open up the stores, or it's this like parallel lines that you have to like open the stores and then you have to make a brand at the same time. How does it work like? Because opening up a dark store would require investment as well. You would have resources over there. You would need to have the manpower to deliver the products and everything. And at the same time, when you build a product, that would mean that, I mean, operational cost of the stores would go from your own pockets. So what is the right approach? Because IGP, if you talk about, those products are basically, you talk about, these are consumable products mostly, and then Rakhis and all. I do send Rakhis from IGP to somebody in New Zealand as well. So that's one of the questions in my mind. And the second question is, in dark stores, when you talk about the delivery that you do nowadays, you see that same-day delivery, somebody would pick up and deliver it on your behalf. Do you have your own delivery partners, or is it like somebody else would do it for you? What is the right thing?
Okay, I think the first question that I understood was how to go about dark stores, right? What to do first. See, eventually it is about if you have a product that you have in mind that you want to sell, how are you gonna do the delivery of the product? You'll have to think about that, correct? What dark stores, these days that they're doing, they are, and we are also, what we are trying to do is to have a control on the product quality, the inventory that we are holding, and at the same time, timely delivery. This is what the focus is. If your product or any product wants that specific things, to be catered to, then obviously dark store is something that is on the cards. If there is a warehouse from which these products are getting shipped as of now, and it is taking much longer to reach your key pocket areas, then obviously you will think of opening either a warehouse or a small center, a small dark store sort of model to deliver quickly and have control on the product. Obviously, as we were discussing earlier, there are some outsourced companies as well who can help you do that, because obviously there is a cost involved. You'll have to rent out the space and do the whole infrastructure setup, do everything. So there is a cost involved, but there are players who can do it on your behalf, so you can try them out as well. But yes, if you want to create a brand, you first have to create a good product and deliver a good product.
So the products that we are talking about, I mean, if you talk about the home furnishing products, normally if you go to Google and if you want to buy a bed sheet, let's say, you will find a lot of items, mostly on Flipkart and then on Amazon. These are the 2 major players right now who are very much disruptive.
Correct.
And the price that they are quoting for the product to be sold to the customer, including the delivery fee, if you talk about our pricing being a manufacturer, and then we add up to the logistics and we add up to the stores and everything, the transportation, the setup cost would include for somebody who is not selling on Amazon or Flipkart. That would actually be a little bit higher than what they are offering. Let's say a basic, a product which is like 170 rupees on Flipkart.
Just want to intervene here, and I would request Ankur to give him some time after this.
Let's
yeah,
meet.
we can have a word, because I have
a
lot of questions we can discuss.
Sure.
We are hard pressed for time here, and I thank my co-panelists here for giving their wonderful suggestion. I think we have learned something here much more interesting. And with this, we are closing this session. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you guys. Thank you.